What is the most embarrassing old wives' tale that you believed when you were a child? Is it that if you eat your crust, your hair will go curly? Is it if you pull a face and the weather changes, you'll be stuck like that? Or was it something to do with monsters lurking under your bed? These things get into our psyche and somehow we believe them, even when logically, as an adult, when we look back at them, we think, what? Why? How? Why didn't I work that one out sooner? You know, there's all sorts of memes on social media about the fact that if you actually look on your car's petrol gauge, it will tell you which side the cap is on. Who knew? Why didn't we know it sooner? What would have happened to us all if social media hadn't pointed it out? Now, once you know it, it becomes obvious. But it's only obvious because somebody's pointed it out. It's not like it's intuitive. There's very few things that we're born knowing how to do. We have a startle reflex and we're hungry. That's about it. It's not much of a basis, is it, for running a business or building relationships or running a household? So what you think is obvious may not be. This is where your contracts can really help. Your contracts can spell out what's obvious to someone from your position of how they're going to work with clients. So, for example, I do a lot of work with small projects in the construction sector. And generally speaking, what's obvious to someone who works in the construction sector and what's obviously obvious to someone who's only watched television programs about construction projects don't really meet in the middle. So your contract should help other people to understand what might be obvious to you, that timescales change, projects change, costs change, doors that you thought were going to be available are no longer available. Those lovely handles, well, they're now out of stock and there's a steel strike in China. All these things we think are obvious when we're used to a particular sector, when we're used to our own way of doing business. Your contract is there to make what you think is obvious utterly clear to your clients. Now, I've spent the week working on a 30-page procedure, which is an annex to a contract. And there are so many questions. There are so many things which aren't obvious to a third party like me that don't seem to make sense. It's really useful to try and get a second pair of eyes over a document, particularly if you're going to use it repeatedly with people, to make sure it makes sense. Often when somebody sends me the contract they currently use, there are loads of questions left. It doesn't actually fill in all the gaps. Now, I don't mean being comprehensive. I mean just explaining what they do. You know, sometimes that's written in so either bold language, so it just says, we'll provide the accountancy services, whatever that might mean, or it's written in so much detail that I've just switched off too soon. So think about it. How can you make your contract terms, your marketing, your documents so clear, so unambiguous that they are helpful, accessible, readable, and cannot possibly be misunderstood? Because if you've got a contract like that, then you're safeguarding your business without annoying your clients.